Hello, this story is part of a series titled The Seattle Jijinas. Growing up in Tehran, most people's homes did not have a lawn. Unless you were well-to-do, then you could have one put in. Across the street from where we lived was a park. The park was named Parc Farah, after the Queen. And they had a lawn. However, at the time it was new, and I don't think the groundskeepers quite knew what they were doing. After moving to Seattle, I found most people had lawns, including the home we bought on 327 Northwest 88th Street. But when it came to mowing the lawn in our family, for some reason it had to be a transformational experience. Welcome to Storytime with Kumars. My name is Kayo Jijina, and this is my story titled The First Lawn. I hope you enjoy it. After moving to Seattle and taking up residence in our first home on Northwest 88th Street, we did not know exactly what to do with our lawn, so we watched it grow. It grew through the summer, fall, and winter. By the spring of 1977, we were a sanctuary for dandelions, ferns, and a variety of flora, thriving on our property. The wind spread sprouting seeds to new homes in neighbors' yards. The grass was so tall it would collapse under its own weight when the rains came, creating a bog-like ecosystem. Every now and then, our neighbor to the west, Mrs. Balcom, would drop hints about our wild lawn, and Dad would offer a nervous laughter.
Ho ho ho! We are new to this country. We don't know about lawns. Sorry, we don't have the right tools.
Neighbors offered us the use of their lawnmowers, but Dad turned them down. It was slightly embarrassing, as I tried to ease into our new life and not stick out like a sore thumb. Other neighbors began to chime in, and finally Dad succumbed to peer pressure by loading us into the 1965 Chevelle wagon and cruising down to the Salvation Army store on 4th Avenue South. In the basement where the tools were kept, we came across a couple of gas-powered lawnmowers in various states of disrepair. Dad was not ready for one just yet.
Yo son, these are dangerous, and you might cut off your foot or hand.
We saw a slightly rusted push mower with dull blades.
Son, we can use the file to sharpen the blades.
There were several hand sickles, just like in the old history books. The lawn in our front yard looked very much like a field ready for its harvest. When dry, it was tall. Why not use a sickle? We decided on two. One was short and required squatting. The other was on a long shaft with two handles. I could use it while standing. My mind wandered as I imagined I was a martial arts expert. The sickle swung around my head and across my armpits before Dad yelled,
Son, stop, you might hurt someone.
Dad examined the two sickles as he squinted through his trifocal glasses. Sometimes I would stare at Dad as he spoke to me. The segment of glass had a way of distorting him where the side of his face did not line up. Depending on which cut of glass I was looking through, I would move my head around and try to square things up, but never could. The blades were dull and rusty. The price was right, so Dad bought them.
This looks good, son. Why don't we get the hand clippers as well?
Dad pointed to a vintage pair of garden pruning shears. As I squeezed the two handles, the blades operated in a sideways motion. It felt cool. I fashioned the prelude to Edward Scissorhands, a film which would not be out for a dozen or so years. When we got home, Dad turned us loose on the front lawn. The morning fog lifted. The grass was long and wet, curled up in a disorganized, neglected maze. The push mower glided across the surface of the lawn, compacting what was below it, but did nothing to cut it. It was time to change the game. Grabbing the long-handled sickle, I gave it my all. Expecting to carve out a wide path with my first swing, the sickle only made a dent in the lawn where it first made contact and glided over the rest of the grass. very much like the push mower, it had no effect. I swung again and again, trying different angles, different ninja techniques. David Carradine from the TV show Kung Fu would have been proud of me. But for all my efforts, I might as well have been swinging a golf club. I glanced at Brother. This is not working. How's yours doing? Brother's effort with the pruning shears were met with a little more success than mine. After an hour or two, Dad came out to inspect our progress.
What are you boys doing out here? It doesn't look like you have done anything.
I explained the push mower and the sickle were not working.
Let me see it, son.
Dad took the sickle and began to swing it, again and again, and was met with the same results.
This is worthless.
Brother had some luck with the hand clippers, I said, pointing to a 12-inch row, not much wider than a matchbox car. As we stood there gazing at our front lawn, trying to figure out a way to tackle the hairy giant that lay there before us, an image came to mind. The vision lasted less than a microsecond before it was gone. It would take many years and many such images before I would learn about the intuition, how to recognize it. At the time, I was 16, and the family never discussed things as intuition or listening to the heart. It was all from the brain and how much pain you could withstand. In the grass before me, I saw a head of wet hair. I asked Brother for the clippers, which he gave up eagerly. Kneeling down in my work jeans, I reached into the jungle, separated and lifted a handful of grass, firmly attached to the earth by its roots. With 3 or 4 squeezes to the clipper handles, I began the long and arduous process of hand clipping the entire front lawn. Dad and Brother retreated to the inside as I continued. I discovered all kinds of creatures as I made my way back and forth. Among them were long green and short brown slugs. A couple of times I was slimed, and for some reason, slug slime was difficult to wash off. It left a weird feeling, grossing me out. Halfway through, my right hand began to cramp from all the strenuous activity. In our family, pain was something you just dealt with, and you did not stop work because of it. You might mention it to someone if they were around, but you kept going. If something were to break, like a bone, then it was okay to stop and get it looked at. It took me the better part of 5 hours before the grass was cut. It felt good to have figured out and accomplished something on my own. Part of me looked for approval. Going inside, the kudos came.
Good job, son.
Even Mom chimed in. It looks wonderful. Have some food, you must be hungry. A week later, the grass was back. The inner voice came rolling through. I thought I had got most of it. Where did all this come from? I bent down. The grass was shorter. Not as long as the first time. Perhaps it was just drying out, and what I missed on the first go-around was now standing up. I was not sure if I had the energy to do this again. Entered the mine. You know the rules. You do it once, now you own it. Eventually, we got the grass down to where we could use the push mower. The blades were not very sharp, the rotor would jam, and then one day we were at the dump over in Fremont, a neighborhood of Seattle, when Dad spotted a gas lawnmower in the metal scrap pile.
Son, see that mower over there? Quick, let's go take a look at it.
The lawnmower was rusty, leaking oil. The paint was peeling. The push handle was showing signs of stress.
Son, look at this beautiful lawnmower. It's such a shame. People are so wasteful here. Take it and load it into the truck.
Dad, I'm not sure we're supposed to be taking stuff out of the dump.
Just do what I tell you before someone else comes and grabs it.
After that, we were all pros at mowing, but trying to maintain a lush green lawn, that would never be our forte.